Anatomy of the airstrikes, how meticulously planned RAF raids hit Houthi targets with pinpoint accuracy in 8HR Blitz. British RAF Typhoon jets destroyed Houthi strongholds with pinpoint precision during an overnight blitz by the UK and US on Thursday. The meticulously planned operation saw the aircraft make their way from Cyprus to Yemen and back in hours, refueling mid-air after they blitzed the targets. Western forces led by the UK and US obliterated 60 military targets in total on Thursday under the cover of darkness, weakening the Iran-backed terror proxy in Yemen. Laser-guided Tomahawk missiles. Laser-guided Tomahawk missiles and paveway bombs, 1,200 miles per hour fighter jets, Reaper drones, and destroyers were used alongside the RAF planes. It was the first time strikes had been launched against the Houthis following months of brutal Red Sea attacks. And it marks a dramatic escalation in the crisis that for weeks has been threatening to ignite an all-out war across the Middle East over Israel's ongoing battle with Hamas. The Ministry of Defense today released dramatic footage of the moment RAF Typhoons conducted precision strikes on two key Houthi military targets. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said the targeted strikes were a limited, necessary, and proportionate action in self-defense. Timeline of RAF strikes. The RAF Typhoon jets took off with the Voyager aircraft from the Akrotiri base in Cyprus at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday evening. The planes, which have long-range fuel tanks, restocked on fuel mid-air halfway to Yemen thanks to the Voyager. By 11:30 p.m. they had reached their ideal position, 5 to 10 miles from the targets, and let the bombs drop. The jets, likely hovering 35 to 40,000 feet above sea level and shooting horizontally from about 5 to 10 miles away from the targets, then headed back to Cyprus. After refueling on the route back they landed in Cyprus around 3 a.m. The Houthis announced that 5 militants were killed and 6 injured in the overnight strikes. Their furious forces have vowed to retaliate to a scale beyond the imagination and told the US and Britain they had made a huge mistake launching the war in Yemen. Houthi spokesman Muhammad al-Bukaiti also added on Al Arabi TV that American interests will be a target for our forces wherever they are. Mission details and targets. RAF pilots involved. RAF pilots involved in the dangerous mission were not scrambling on the base to get up in the air. The carefully planned initiative went as intended, with fighter pilots, men on the ground and military commanders behind the scenes pulling together to target the Houthi threat. Significant intelligence gathered by the Allied forces meant each group involved knew what and where they would be striking, and had known for some time. The weapons landed exactly where they were supposed to, hitting a site in Bani, northwest Yemen used by the Houthi to launch attack drones. Another Typhoon hit took out an airfield at Abs, used to launch missiles and drones over the Red Sea. The Ministry of Defense said 4 of the RAF Typhoon FGR-4S, supported by a Voyager tanker, used Paveway 4 guided bombs to unleash the strikes on the 2 Houthi bases. The Paveway bombs are kitted out with 500-pound warheads and tail fins used with laser and GPS technology to zone in on targets. British drones equipped with lethal Hellfire missiles were also primed. They said care was taken to minimize any risk to civilian life in the pre-planned operation, helped by conducting it overnight. And the MOD said early analysis suggests the Houthi capability to attack ships in the Red Sea has been weakened as a result. They said, 4 RAF Typhoon FGR-4S, supported by a Voyager air refueling tanker therefore used Paveway 4 guided bombs to conduct precision strikes on 2 of these Houthi facilities. One was a site at Bani in northwestern Yemen used to launch reconnaissance and attack drones. A number of buildings involved in drone operations were targeted by our aircraft. The other location struck by our aircraft was the airfield at Abs. Intelligence has shown that it has been used to launch both cruise missiles and drones over the Red Sea. Several key targets at the airfield were identified and prosecuted by our aircraft. Dramatic footage released on Friday shows the moment bombs rained down on the Houthi targets from RAF jets. Jets, warships and submarines were used by the UK and US overnight in the attacks on Yemen's capital Sana'a, as well as 4 other regions, Sayda, Hodeidah, Taiz, and Damar. The bold mission saw at least 60 targets hit in 16 locations across Yemen after the Iran-backed terror proxy threatened the West. Huge explosions were captured in the clips, as the US and UK sent out formidable weapons in their self-defense efforts to target airports, air bases, and military camps. Fiery blazes could be seen on the ground and fighters' jets fueled by plumes of fire soared into the night at rapid speed. Over 100 precision-guided munitions were used to bomb the capital, as video captured the enormous explosions. Command and control centers, munition stores, launching bases, production facilities, and air defense radar systems were wiped out in the attacks, the U.S. said. The U.S. used missiles launched by formidable warship Tomahawk, along with fighter jets and a submarine. The enormous USS Florida is one of only 4 nuclear-powered missile subs in the U.S. Navy Armory. America unleashed the powerful ballistic missile sub overnight, which carries nuclear warheads. And the low-flying Tomahawk missiles, capable of unleashing a 1,000-pound warhead on targets, travel at an incredible speed that can override air defense systems. Last night, U.S. Air Force LT Gen. Alex Grinkiewicz said they had executed deliberate strikes on over 60 targets at 16 Iranian-backed Houthi militant locations, including command and control nodes, munitions depots, launching systems, production facilities, and air defense radar systems. Red Sea attacks. It follows weeks of dangerous attacks in the Red Sea as Houthi rebels stormed, besieged, and threatened the crews of ships passing through one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. Just days ago, masked gunmen in military uniforms stormed the St. Nicholas, a Greek-owned 900-feet tanker carrying 145,000 tons of crude oil, and ordered it to sail to Iran. And on Tuesday, British and U.S. warships shot down a barrage of 18 drones and 3 cruise and anti-ship ballistic missiles fired towards the Red Sea in the Houthis' largest attack so far. Royal Navy destroyer HMS Diamond blasted 7 of the drones out of the sky, and Defense Secretary Shapps says the warship was deliberately targeted. The radical Islamist paramilitary group are using the chaos of the Red Sea attacks to try and pressure Israel into conceding to their allies, Hamas, in Gaza. Israel is targeting terror group Hamas after their attacks in Israel on October 7, pummeling the Gaza Strip from air and land as they hunt down the remaining masterminds. The Houthi attacks, according to UK figures, increased by 500% from November to December last year, threatening to ignite an all-out war in the Middle East. Iran fumed that the strikes on Yemen were a clear violation of Yemen's sovereignty and territorial integrity and a violation of international laws. The attacks will have no result other than fueling insecurity and instability in the region, Foreign Ministry's spokesman Nasser Kanani said. Iran's terror proxies and Houthi allies, Hezbollah and Hamas, have both condemned the strikes and blamed the US and UK for escalating the conflict. Allied response. The US and UK said the aerial attacks were intended to disrupt and degrade the militants' threat to global trade after Prime Minister Rishi Sunak gave his go-ahead on Thursday evening. The PM today said the UK needs to send a strong signal that the Houthi rebel attacks are wrong and cannot be carried out with impunity. He said, "Our aim is very clear, it's to de-escalate tensions and restore stability to the region." The UK government added, in planning the strikes, particular care was taken to minimize any risks to civilians, and any such risks were mitigated further by the decision to conduct the strikes during the night. The detailed results of the strikes are being assessed, but early indications are that the Houthis' ability to threaten merchant shipping has taken a blow. And our commitment to protecting the sea lanes, through which some 15% of the world's shipping passes and which is vital to the global economy, has been amply demonstrated. U.S. President Joe Biden hailed the blitz on sites used by the Iran-backed militia group a success and said he would not hesitate to launch more. He added that it sent a clear message that the U.S. and its partners will not tolerate attacks which have been crippling international shipping. He added that the countries acted in self-defense after the Iran-backed militia group vowed America and Britain would pay a heavy price for their blatant aggression in recent months. Defense Secretary Grant Shapps said, "The threat to innocent lives and global trade has become so great that this action was not only necessary, it was our duty to protect vessels and freedom of navigation." Strikes were carried out with the support of Australia, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin confirmed. Denmark, Germany, New Zealand, and South Korea also assisted.